97X, the Quad Cities Classic Rock Authority. I'm Bill Stage. I'm with Josh Sherrod of the Frogtown Craft Beer Festival, which is coming up the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Josh, how did this whole thing come about? How did you get into putting together a beer festival in the Quad Cities?
I tell you what, first off, thanks for having me in here. This is awesome. You know what? We put on the Microbrew Mile Craft Beer Festival. Next year will be our 7th year. And we just were tied to a lot of community events. All of them have charities tied to them. And we just decided that, we don't, after Brouhaha, there's really not a good fall, or there's just not really a craft beer festival. And so there's all kinds of great, fall beers and seasonal beers. And we decided, let's throw a fall craft beer festival, kind of focusing on that. And the Rust Belt, just being in there for some shows, it just right away was like, this would be a perfect location.
Right. So when you talk about seasonal beers for fall and winter, what kind of beers are we talking about?
We're talking your stouts, your porters, your, we'll still have some Oktoberfest there. We will have some Bourbon County Stout there, which is going to be a big hit. It is limited because it's kind of, we were limited in getting it, but so that'll probably go fast. But just some good seasonal stuff. A lot of the different breweries we've talked to have all kinds of just crazy seasonal. There's so much talent out there in the Quad Cities with these breweries and these brewers, and even the breweries that are outside the Quad Cities that are coming down. Just some really good stuff coming. So we're really excited.
What is it about that type of beer, kind of the darker, the creamier stuff? How does that lend itself to this time of year? What do you think?
I don't know, man. Just with the cold temps and just the changing of the weather and the scenery outside, just a good stout just really, I don't know, just really does it.
Yeah, it just warms the innards, the cockles of your heart.
I still like those IPAs, but it's this is a different, it's a different feeling.
Gotcha. So how long does it take to put on a beer fest of this size? You've been working on it for a while, I would imagine.
Yeah, so it's basically with all our events we put on, we actually like to get a good year worth of like, okay, this is what's going to happen planning-wise. And this one came up pretty quick. I pitched the idea to some of the owners and the reps down at the Rust Belt. And they said, yeah, let's do it. And they said, can we do it this year? And I was like, yeah, we can.
Sure.
I was like, we can get that going. But and thankfully, it's a little easier being inside.
Yeah.
I got a great committee and just the volunteers that come out too. But our committee just knocks it out of the park. They've been doing it for, this will be our 7th year with Microbrew. So they just basically tell me to leave the area and they just take care of the stuff.
We got this.
I do a lot of the behind scenes and it just with them, they're just like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So.
With the Microbrew Mile, which came first for you, the love of running or the love of beer?
Well, the love of running, that came first, but then beer came along with that really quick afterwards.
Yeah.
We been running for a long time and then was always involved with the different road races and then took on other responsibilities with being on the committees of them, coaching as well over at Augie. But then with the beer, like runners love beer. Athletes in general really love beer. And so a lot of the breweries start to cater to that with their specialty beers, made for runners or just kind of, that target market. And so you can't go to a road race anymore without there being some sort of beer. And, my love for craft beer and just with the talent, like I mentioned, we have in the Quad Cities here, it just made sense. And all those breweries, they're jumping on board because they understand that that's a whole market for them as well, just not the craft beer enthusiasts, but the athletes out there, the gym rats, the individuals, that got their niche. And so they're trying to, work with them and they bring a great product.
So I've ran the Bix. That's my big claim to fame. I've done a couple 5Ks. Not exactly a runner's, swimmer's body here, but for someone who wants to get into running, somebody who wants to get into craft beer, you got to start light. What would be something that maybe the two would have in common?
Just don't go all in all at once. Because events like this, like the Microbrew Mile and the Frogtown, are a perfect a perfect setting to get out there and sample things and then experience like, okay, I liked that or I didn't like that. I mean, when I first started drinking craft beer, I was not an IPA guy. It was too hoppy for me. I didn't like it. And then it took some time and it grew on me. I still talk to my buddies over at Benton River. Like American Wheat was my favorite go-to craft beer, and then they stopped making it for other stuff. But I'm gonna give them to make it again one day. Yeah. But it just from there it just expanded. Your palate starts to expand a little bit and sample different things, and it grows on you. And just same thing with running. I tell my runners, you crawl before you walk before you jog before you run before you race. It's the same thing with craft beers. I mean, you get into it. I mean, everyone has a domestic that they like, and from there they can kind of expand. And like I said, these festivals are a great way to do that, because you pay one fee, you get in there, you'll like some, you'll find some you won't like, and then you just kind of go from there.
Figure it out from there. So it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, the Frogtown Craft Beer Fest at the Rust Belt in East Moline. It goes on from 1 until 4 o'clock. You can have some live music, some food, and all sorts of stuff. What other than beer you got going on?
Yep. So we got Louis Knutson on the main stage, very talented artist here in the Quad Cities, and very fortunate that he was able to do that. We'll have some different food vendors there. I know off the top of my head, Clint's Pizza is going to be there. Junior's Bar and Grill down there in East Moline, just amazing pulled pork. So. Previn will be down there, and then we're working on some others being there. We'll have just like your typical games you see at some of the beer festivals, like Giant Jenga and bags, and just some different things to have some fun with. Then we'll have some different vendors there as well to kind of explore. Then just the 35 plus different breweries that'll be there. Most of them will have reps. Some of them will not be having reps there, just unfortunately because of the weekend right after Thanksgiving. But we have our beer engineers, we call them, that are our great volunteers that help out at these events. And kind of leading that with the Peaceful Palate is our charity of choice.
Yeah, some of the proceeds go to the Peaceful Palate. What? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Kyle is just an amazing guy. Peaceful Palate is a local nonprofit charity here in the Quad Cities that realized that there was a need for hunger, or there's a need for to feed the homeless here in the Quad Cities, and there's a lot of restaurants that just throw away food at the end of the day that could be frozen or given right to a homeless shelter. So he goes out and does that, and with his charity he works with a bunch of different restaurants that at the end of the day, if there's food left over, they freeze it, or they just we have this much food, we're going to be here, a pop-up down in an area where some homeless people might be, or he just brings it to the homeless shelter in general, and just helping reduce food waste. That's
all of course this time of year that is definitely on our mind, so we appreciate you putting that out there. And make sure everybody goes to Frogtown Craft Beer Fest that's going on the Saturday after Thanksgiving at the Rust Belt in East Moline. T-shirts still available?
Yeah, T-shirts, limited edition T-shirt, some limited, I don't even have one on. Microbrew Mile one. But so that'll be up into the 25th of November, and then we'll pull those. And so you can still order them, but they won't be ready for you for pickup at the festival.
Okay, and it's $30 before, $35 at the door, so you can get your tickets. Frogtownbeerfest.com is the website for that. Josh, I appreciate it. Do we hit everything? Do we need to say anything else?
Yeah, I think so. I hope to see you there. It's going to be a great event, our inaugural year, and it's just going to continue to grow and grow each year. So you can be part of history being at the first one.
That's going to be awesome. The Rust Belt in East Moline. It's Frogtown. It's Josh. It's Bill Stage on 97X.